Hello and welcome to your tarot reading for Tuesday the 9th of January 2024, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dee. Very happy to have you with me for this 3-card reading. This is an interesting spread today. So I've drawn the Knight of Candles, which corresponds to the Knight of Wands, followed by the 10 of Candles, obviously also Wands, and then the 5 of Needles, which corresponds to the 5 of Swords. And again, I'm using this lovely deck. I'm going to be using it at least all this week because I'm so enjoying it, the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. So that's what you can see laid out before you here in this 3-card spread. So this is an interesting one. Have you recently jumped in and taken on a bunch of projects or added to those that you already had? Or perhaps they've built up over time, but you feel that you might now be reaching max capacity for projects or tasks. Because the Knight of Candles or the Knight of Wands talks about this bold, impulsive, adventurous energy that's connected very much to action. So the suit of Candles or the suit of Wands is all about action. And it's that Knight energy is the court card that comes with like a fierce, passionate, adventurous, go forth, take action energy. It's an excited, a confident, passionate energy. So the fact that it's paired here with the 10 of Candles is really interesting, because the 10 of Candles or the 10 of Wands talks about having so many projects that perhaps you've taken on a little too much. You might be feeling the burden of a little bit too much responsibility. And so that is the reason I'm asking you, have you taken on too much recently? Or has someone delegated to you, the straw that feels as if it might be the one to break the donkey's back? You've become overloaded over time, and now something has to give, because this pairing today is giving me the message that might be the case. All week I've been talking about, the things that we have set ourselves or given ourselves or prescribed ourselves for the new year. And it might be a continuation of that theme. You might have given yourself a little bit too much on the to-do list, and now you're feeling like you're overburdened in some way. If that's the case, then it's talking about, is there something that you can delegate, or is there something that you can let go of? Often it's really difficult to let go of something if it's a passion project especially, or something that you feel very much like you should be wanting to do, but do you really want to do it? I think lots of us have these lists of goals and aspirations that we've built over time, where some of them, yes, they're very much relevant still, but some of them we've just been carrying them for so long, and perhaps not taking the moment to examine whether we really do actually want those things anymore. And it might be worth just doing a little appraisal of everything you've got on your plate, and if some of that stuff are things that you have given yourself to do or work towards that could potentially be let go of, but are those things, do you still actually want to do those things? We change over time as people. We're constantly evolving. We're in a constant state of transformation and evolution as people, which means that the things that we used to want, sometimes we just don't, and we don't. If we examine it deeply, maybe we don't. Maybe we do, but maybe we don't. And that's okay. It's okay to let things go from time to time. Is there anything that you could be letting go of right now that would ease this feeling of pressure or responsibility that is becoming a little bit too heavy, just starting to feel just a little bit too much? Because if so, be kind to yourself. But yes, often that takes just a process of assessment, and sit down and think, okay, what have I got on my plate? What do I really want to carry forward, and what am I happy to just leave here? Just set it down and leave it here. Because there will always be more things that we want to do and take on as we move through life. And, some things have to give. So yes, if you are finding that you're at max capacity and you're feeling the pressure, then maybe have that conversation inwardly with yourself, and see whether there's anything that you can bid a fond farewell to from the to-do list. So the 5 of Needles, and I think the 5 of Needles is, again, it's within this same theme, this same conversation. 5 of Needles, it's a conflict. It's a battle. So in the 5 of Needles, in this particular deck, what you can see here is Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas in a confrontation with Oogie Boogie, so the Oogie Boogie man. And it's this conflict, this confrontation, this battle, and that may be speaking to this conflict within yourself, where you have all these things that you're carrying, all of these aspirations, things that you're working on, projects, goals, things that you've promised other people, things that you've promised to yourself, responsibilities, and they've started to feel overly burdensome just by sheer volume of what you've got on your plate. And it's this conflict within around, okay, I feel like I should be doing this. I feel like I should, but I don't. I'm feeling like I'm not enjoying this process. I've got too much going on. I feel like something's got to give. I don't know what it is. I feel conflicted. There are things that I feel like I should want to do, but I don't want to do. Maybe I did really want to do them once, but they don't really feel like me anymore. They're not an accurate reflection of who I am and what I want and where I feel I want to be or go. And I think in the context of this spread, it could be referring to that feeling, that conversation that needs to happen with self around, okay, I am one person. I only have 24 hours in my day. There's only so much of me to go around. I can only be spread too thin, stretched too so far. What has to give? What has to give? And yesterday we spoke about self-care. There was a theme, an underlying theme of self-care around being kind to oneself, celebrating oneself, treating oneself. And again, this plays into that whole self-care theme, is around, okay, what can I set down in order to care for myself, to care effectively for myself? If it was a friend and you saw them carrying this burden and just running themselves ragged, just frayed nerves, and exhaustion, burnout. If you saw signs of that in a friend or a family member, I'm pretty sure, most of us would take somebody aside and say, be gentle with yourself. You've got too much going on. Is there something I can do for you? And in that respect, people around us don't often always, it's not that they wouldn't happily be delegated to. It's not that they wouldn't happily take one of those things and take it from you and do it for you or ease that burden for you. But some people just have so much, it's a noisy world and people don't always notice, but they don't always mind being asked. So, if it may be that something just needs to be set down and let go entirely, but if not, but it could be delegated to somebody, just consider, are there people in your life, and it's not that they wouldn't help out, it's just that they need to be asked. And perhaps, we need to forgive them for, in this instance, for not noticing that you've got too much on, and just be prepared to just ask them outright. Because sometimes people just like to be asked. They like to feel useful, like to feel helpful, but it's a noisy world. There's so much going on, and sometimes we don't notice one another in the way that we should always. So I think that may be something to consider here. The Ten of Candles does talk about the possibility of delegation of responsibility here where possible and if necessary. So that's the message for today. Be kind to yourself, allow others to be kind to you, and thank you for joining me, and I hope to have you with me again soon.